let's get started. I'm Vlad Băilescu. I'm working with Adobe. I'll be talking about the core components a bit. My colleagues later on will dive into some of the technical details, and we'll also have a panel discussion. And yeah, let's get started. I was saying that we've been working for almost 4 years on the core components. We're 23 releases in, and we got about 30 components built during this time. We have almost more than 60 people contributing to the core components as they are developed in open source. And we've seen over this time more than 1,000 issues and pull requests. That's a lot that you as a community have given back to us as well. And by our records, it's more than 300 customers which are using at least some of the components. We also have a nice little website that we put together where you can see all the components. I'll give you a short glimpse if you haven't seen it already. It's the library. It's showing you the components and some of the variations for them. You can have a look at how they work. You can have a look at the properties and the markup and the JSON that's associated with each of the component. And lately we also integrated along with the commerce team some of their CIF components as well. So make sure to check it out and yeah, have a look there. So what's new since last year? We had a few releases. We had 2.8.0 in December 2019, which was enhancements and some bug fixes. This year in May, we added integration with the Adobe client data layer. JC, my colleague, will have a discussion and a deep dive in the technical aspects of that. We also added one more nifty little progress bar component. And then later this year, we had 2.10, which added document cloud. And then 2.11, which added AMP support to core components. And that was followed, which added some expanded JSON content for experience fragments and also added alternate artifacts for AEM as a cloud service. So now you have the core components inside AEM as a cloud service. Meanwhile, I was stating that the commerce team has integrated their CIF components, which, yeah, they work nice with AEM and Magento as well. And like I said, a big kudos for the success of this project is actually to you, the community. We had more than 50 contributors over the last year. That's a lot. I want to give a special thank you to our partners, our Bontios, which helped us with the implementation of the AMP feature. The partners at Ensemble Systems, which worked on the PDF viewer. And as always, some of our favorite contributors, Konrad, Kyle, and Stefan Zeifer, which is also one of the people behind this conference. And yeah, thank you all, guys. It's been wonderful to have your support. It's been wonderful to see your comments, to see the issues, the fixes, and some of the pull requests have really blown our mind. So yeah, thanks. And for the rest of you which are wondering how they could contribute to this project, it's easy. You can file an issue. If you have a problem, file the issue. Make sure it's a good issue. That means that it's reproducible and it's specific. That would allow anyone looking at the issue to reproduce it and understand what this issue is about. Or better yet, if you have a fix for something, send a pull request. We are trying hard to keep on top of these pull requests and merge them as they come in. So yeah, if you have a fix, send it. Or if you want to have a look at the existing pull requests or the issues, have a look at them, comment on them. Let us know if you have the same issues or if you see a better solution for some of the stuff that we're working on. And last but not least, you could write a test. It's as simple as that. If you want to get started and work with the core components, just write a unit test, write an integration test. We would appreciate it a lot. If you are not into coding but still want to contribute, maybe you can open an RFC issue, a request for comment issue, where you could describe whatever feature or new thing you would like to see implemented, and we review them periodically. We comment on them, other people in the community comment on them, and maybe something good will come out of it. We also have a mailing list for longer discussions, so send a message there if you have some ideas or some comments. And if you feel that something is not really that useful to everyone using the core components, we also have an alternate repository where we allow people more easily to contribute something that doesn't get installed by default with AEM, but it's still a nice place to share whatever you are building which is related to the core components. So head out to the contrib repository, and if it's something that you feel doesn't make sense to be added to the main repository, you can just add it there. What's next? We plan to have a new release soon with some fixes and improvements, and by the end of the year we plan to have a larger release which addresses some of the long-standing issues like improved link handling throughout all the components, and that will also make us bump the component version for quite a lot of the components. So we're looking at issues that require some incompatible changes and trying to address these for the 3.0 release as well. So we are targeting the end of 2020 to do that. We also have a roadmap. You can see it on our wiki page. We have link tracking on our roadmap, and we have a bunch of components that we are still trying to figure out how to better add to the rest. Table of contents and model dialogues, dedicated search component with a search results page. New grid is something that we've been exploring and discussing about. A lot of improvements are still iterating around the teaser. We definitely need to improve a bit the form components, and we've had some requests, both internal and from partners and customers, for the author byline components and for email support in the core components. Apart from that, we also are looking at how to better integrate the data layer with Adobe Launch. That's coming up, and the next talk will cover a bit this. We are also looking at enhancing AMP support. We added that in the core components. It's kind of basic at the moment, but it's coming. We're going to have some enhancements there as well. We are going to have a bit more polish on the AEM Forms integration. There are a few components that have been put together by the AEM Forms team. We want to have them as first-class citizens in the core components as well. And there are also some ongoing changes, some discussion about changes in the way we use the Sling Models API. We had a lot of people commenting that it's complicated the way we use right now the Sling Models API with an interface, and it's kind of complicated to get access to the default implementations. So that's still up for review, and we would appreciate your comments on the mailing list, on the corresponding issue for that. That will help us steer the direction better. We're also looking at how to better accommodate front-end code and changes like that with the core components. So there's going to be something good there as well. One of the things we did this year when the whole pandemic struck was we worked with the guys at Deloitte on creating a website, they put together some analysis based on what people were thinking or feeling about the whole pandemic situation, and we worked together with them to kind of get this microsite started. That was some good practice for us, because as a product team, we don't always get to work on customer projects. So there's a bit of disconnect, and we feel it, and I'm pretty sure you feel it too. That's why we always reach out to the community to get information on this, right? So we worked with them, and the whole project took about 1 month, trying to set up a website where they could just share their information and their analysis. It's a simple website, but it has some nice things to it. And the big thing with that was that they were able to create it in the end just using the core components with no custom components. They just used what was available out of the box. They did some JavaScript magic around the graphics there, but yeah, that's mostly about it. And it's been an interesting journey for us to see how our customers use the website, how the partners, some of them have some experience with core components and editable templates, but some of them were still reverting to the old, static designs. And yeah, it's been interesting to see that happening. I'll give you a glimpse of the website. So yeah, this is what they started with. They had some mocks, different pages with Adobe XD, and based on that, the website they created looks like this. It's a nice presentation website. They have some sections where they have some graphs with some data. What you're seeing here is just the carousel from core components, which allows you to switch, to different data points. And yeah, it's all core components and some creative JavaScript. And being on this journey with them have made us consider the case of customers that might have some smaller projects, or they don't want to invest that much into creating a full-blown project and a lot of customization. So we are trying to find ways for them to be able to have a website created in a more simple way. That means using just the core components with no coding at all, on the backend side at least, with something that allows them to customize the look and maybe have some pre-made packages for them by a development team. But when they want to set up a new website, they don't have to waste time. They just use those pre-made packages and they can quickly create a new website. And something that allows them to update JavaScript and CSS fast, so that if they need to make any kind of adjustments, they can be agile about it. So that's also on our roadmap. So yeah, that said, if you have any kind of questions related to where we're heading, just hit me up. I'll try to answer them. If I don't get to answer some of them, or you think of some questions after you see the next two presentations, we're also having a panel discussion later on. So yeah, we can address whatever questions there are there as well. I have a question already. Will there be an example CSS for core components? We already ship some CSS with the components library. You can have a look at that and get inspired. Along with the components, we tried to keep the CSS to a minimum, just what's needed for them to function. Maybe some resetting around the CSS, but no opinionated CSS or look for the components out of the box. But with the simple website creation flow that I talked about, that's probably gonna change, because we're gonna have some packages with some sample layouts and some sample CSS, And yeah, there's going to be some default package that you can use with the core components. Another question, was the design for Deloitte made with component system in mind, or was it more retrofitting components in the mockup? Actually, when they started doing the mockup, they had no idea about the core components. So what we did and what we encourage most of the customers to do is start from the mockup, create a wireframe and some templates which map to that, and then adjust stuff in the CSS. It's amazing how much stuff you can do with a responsive grid and the style system, and yeah, just some thoughtful CSS. How soon after a core component release will it be available inside AEM as a cloud service? That's a few days usually. It takes a while until we integrate it and we validate it, but usually it's a couple of days. A good question. We know core components are great, but we always end up in creating custom components. Can we find out where is the gap? Well, that's actually our question to you, the community. Help us identify those gaps. We know for sure that whatever component library we will create, it will probably not address 100% of the needs of the community or the customers. And there's always going to be that Pareto principle, right? We try to address at least the 80 with 20% of the components we have. I'll take up the next questions to our panel discussion, and we'll try to answer them there because there's no more time here. And I don't want to keep you from the next presentation, which I'm pretty sure you will be enjoying. See ya.